Hey guys, so today for you I am bringing you Contouring 101. I did a full face of contour with powder. The next video I do will probably be creams, but I definitely wanted to focus more on powder for this one. So please keep watching if you'd like to see how to achieve a very easy contour and highlight routine for your day-to-day. Thank you for watching. So I have started off with putting my foundation on. I'm using the All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation from NARS in Mont Blanc. Just a very lightweight foundation for this. I don't like to use a very full coverage one on a day-to-day basis. You can start off with whatever foundation you want to use. A lot of people think that contouring is supposed to replace foundation. That's not the case at all. With contouring, you just want to be able to create a shape to the face. Let's say you have a very round face and you want to slim it down a little bit. This is kind of how you do that. So we are going to be using powders today. Like I said, I just put my foundation on. Now I'm actually going to go in with my under eye concealer. Reason I'm showing you this part is because I do think it goes hand in hand with highlighting and contouring. Typically when I'm going to do, regardless of if I'm going to do like a cream contour or a powder contour, I am going to be using something underneath my eyes. So I am going to be using my NYX, I don't even know what this is called anymore, it completely came off, the HD concealer. It is in the shade CW02. So with this guy, just gonna apply it right underneath the eyes. Something that definitely helps when it comes to the highlighting aspect of contour and highlighting is definitely creating the illusion of brightness under the eyes. So going in more of a triangle underneath the eyes is going to create that versus using kind of that half moon technique. That is going to actually bring out the bags underneath your eyes if you do have them. Even if you don't have them or they're not as pronounced, it can show them. So we're just going to go in a little triangle underneath the eyes with that. Now I'm going to take, this is just like a super random foundation brush from Sephora. Just going to use that and just make sure that that color gets blended out a little bit. Kind of pack it onto certain areas. Make sure I get the coverage I want. And then I'll go in with my Beauty Blender and blend that out a little bit more. The Beauty Blender is going to pick up kind of the excess of the product, and it gives it a really nice finish. So that alone, you can tell, has really made a huge difference in the under eye area, really brightening it, really bringing light to that area. Now I am going to go in with a Touche Eclat from Yves Saint Laurent. I will say these are really pricey, not gonna lie. Totally not worth it in my opinion. I have received one in the past and I'm not amazed by them. I don't use it for my under eye. I find that it's not brightening enough. I find that it's not enough coverage because I do have very blue tones under my eyes. But I do like to use it to add a little bit of highlight, a little bit of glow to the rest of my face. So going along with the highlight and contouring, even though I am doing powder today, this is something I do regardless of if I'm going to do powder or cream. I think mainly when it comes to like the actual contour part, that's where it differs. Like I might use cream or I might use powder for my actual contour. For the highlight, I usually do the same steps. So the center of the chin, the Cupid's bow, bringing it down the nose, and center of the forehead. Sometimes if I find my cheeks are really red some days, I will bring some into those areas to add a little bit more coverage, but today they are being super nice to me. I'm gonna go in again with that same foundation brush. And again with the Beauty Blender. So now that we've got that done, I am going to go ahead and powder my face. For powdering the under eye area, I am going to use something that is from like a highlight and contour kit. It's one of the NYX Highlighting Contour Pro Singles. I don't have it in a palette yet, so it's just kind of chilling like this. This is Soft Light. It's just a really great powder, I find, for underneath the eyes. Normally, I will even use the Sephora Collection Bright Set Loose Finishing Powder in Banana. What's nice about this is it's nice and very finely milled, very thin. Really, really good for the under area because it is different. The skin is different. You don't want to be packing too much product onto that area. But I find that this NYX powder is really light and gives some really nice coverage. So I am gonna just bring that all underneath the eyes. Really adds to that brightness. And then I'm just gonna go in with a translucent powder. I use the Rimmel Stay Matte right now, just the translucent one. My big fluffy brush, and just powder the rest of my face because we are doing powder contour. If you were to do cream contour, you don't want to be powdering the face yet. But this is so that I can set my foundation because I do have oily skin. So moving on to the fun part, the actual contouring. I am going to be using my Smashbox contour kit. Pretty much this shade right here I live by. A lot of brands have the exact same shade. Anything that's got more of that ashy tone to it. So even if you want to use a bronzer that you have at home, just make sure it's more along the lines of something with a little bit more of a gray tone versus a bronzer that has very like warm tones. That's not ideal because typically what we want this to look like is we want it to look like shadows on the face. So with that being said, I'm going to take, what is this? It's the Pro Contour Brush number 79 from Sephora Collection. Any brush that's nice and fine, nice and small, you can really get into smaller areas with it and blend out is going to be super helpful here. So I'm just going to take a bit of that, tap off the excess. For this part, I find there are different face shapes, but most of us are wanting to achieve the same thing. And regardless of even that, cheekbones are always the same. I think we all kind of go for the same thing, the same place. It's just about where you put it and like how high you put it. I think people have like a lot of troubles with that. So holding the brush further down the barrel is really important too, because that way you're not like packing it onto one area with, you know, you have more control that way. So taking a little bit of that, kind of going from where the ear sort of attaches to the face. That's typically where a lot of people, their jawline sort of goes. So I can definitely feel my jawline here. I am going to go a little bit above it because I do want my cheeks to look lifted. So a lot of people make the mistake. I see them, they'll like bring it down here, and you definitely want to just bring it up higher. If it feels weird, it's going to feel weird, but it's going to look better in the long run because you are going to be blending this out. So starting from the back forward is important as well. That way you're not getting a huge rush of powder right in the front of your cheeks. It's going to look a little bit more natural, a little bit more blended and easy if you start from the back. So typically I'll just use sort of swiping back and forth motions, and then I'll use small circular motions to blend that more. So you can already see the difference between the two cheeks. And I do, as you notice, I do kind of like, I don't do like a fishy face, but I kind of suck in my cheekbones a little bit so I can really see where I want to go. And obviously I like my contour a little stronger than some people might like it. It's totally up to your preference how much you want to do. I just find that I really like a sculpted cheekbone because I have very like round cheeks. So for the next part of using the contour shade, I'm going to bring it up into my hairline. I do have two small spots on my forehead that drive me insane. There's less hair there. They just stick out like a sore thumb, so I do like to add a bit of shadow in there. So if you find that you have any points on your forehead that you'd like to sort of diminish or take away from, this is exactly what you want to do. It's all about using the contour to subtract from the face, so subtracting like, I guess, skin or fat in a way, and then with the highlight bringing out certain areas. So I'm just going to sort of run that basically along my whole hairline. I just find it gives a really good blend this way, even if you don't have anything to sort of conceal or want to sort of bring shadowing to some areas, it's always really good to run it sort of along the hairline. That way you just have a really good blend of color. You don't have like, you know, stark pale areas in some places, because I definitely am super, super pale normally. If you do have larger temples, you can bring more along the temples. As you can tell, there's not a whole lot of space between my brow bone and my hairline, so I don't really bring a whole lot into that area because it's already smaller. I don't really need to lessen it at all. But for people who do, and for people that even have like a larger forehead, this is exactly where you can add more of that contour. That way it really does sort of bring things down, and then you can focus more on like the inner area of the face. The next part I'm going to do, I don't do often, but for people who maybe want to emphasize a smaller jawline, you can bring the contour along the jawline. That way it will bring out the jawline. For me, mine is already pretty defined. I don't really have to do much. And you can even bring it down the sides of the neck here to really define the neck, and then you get a really good blend going on. Especially if you bring it just behind the ears there as well. That way all the colors are matching and your neck's not like stark pale and the rest of your face is like beautiful, you know? So I am going to contour my nose. I use the Pro Contour. It's a highlight brush apparently, the number 80 from Sephora collection. I don't use it for that. I like it for contouring my nose. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that same contour shade and just following the bone of the nose. This part doesn't really matter if you maybe have a smaller nose, or like, I don't know, maybe you want to accentuate your nose, or maybe you don't. This is just what I like. I love having an instant nose job, so we're gonna do it. And depending on how small you want your nose is how closely your lines, your parallel lines will sort of be near. I don't know what I'm saying. So I'm just very, very lightly massaging that into the entire side of my nose bone, and then I'm just gonna take small circular motions, sort of blend it out, not bringing it too far in or else you're gonna lose some of that highlight, and kind of up into the brow bone. For those of you who maybe have a rounder nose, sort of in this area, or a little button nose, using the contour more along this area will help to lessen that. It will just sort of shrink it if that's what you prefer. And sometimes I will blend that out a little bit if I find it's a little harsh, but I find once you're kind of done the whole process too, everything kind of comes together nicely. Now moving on to bronzer. I find that this is a necessary step for me, at least. It's good to always add warmth back into the skin, especially if we're working with a very ashy tone contour shade. So I'm going to use the Sephora Collection Micro Smooth Baked Bronzer Duo. This is the Honey Heat one. I do like this one because it is sort of ashier still, because my skin does not like a lot of warmth. But just very, very natural. This, we're just going to sort of dust over the same areas, but very lightly and with a fluffier brush. This is just gonna, again, add that warmth back into the skin a little bit. I always like to bring it down the sides of my neck again, just to give a really good blend going on. So even though this is kind of a different step, it's not a necessary step, it's just something I like to do, but I figured I'd show it anyways because I find that this does, you know, play a part in the shape of my face. I'm going to show you the blush I use. So right now I'm going to use the Balm In Stain blush. I have no idea. Houndstooth? Houndstooth. Wow, I cannot. Losing it. Houndstooth, I'm assuming, is the name of this guy. I've had this for ages. I just think it's a really beautiful color. A little bit more berry, a little bit more mauvey. So I'm just going to take that on my blush brush. And when I'm applying blush, especially if I'm wearing more of a contour, I do like to sort of just apply it just over top of that contour. Again, starting from the back of my face and working forward. A lot of people make the mistakes of really focusing them on the apples of the cheeks, and that will cause your cheeks to look rounder. And last but not least, I am going to use an iridescent highlight. When it comes to like the highlighting aspect of highlight and contouring, a lot of those kits do come with that matte shade of highlight. Typically, the only time I ever use those is to set the under eye area. I don't a lot of the time use them for bringing them into certain areas of the face unless someone does not want any shimmer. Maybe you just want a full matte look, then yeah, I will use them, but for argument's sake, I love the look of a iridescent highlight. So I'm gonna go in with the Laura Mercier highlight. So pretty. This is my favorite highlight, especially if you have fair skin. Gonna take that along the tops of the cheekbones, swiping in sort of like a C motion, bringing it up to that brow bone and then down. And this will really help to lift those cheekbones. I'm gonna bring it to Cupid's bow, dust a little bit on the chin, and then I'm going to dust some down the forehead and the bridge of the nose. And I love the way this looks in the natural light. It just gives a really beautiful glow to the skin. Okay, so that is everything for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you did like what you saw today. And always, leave me comments. If you have any ideas for an upcoming video that I could do, definitely let me know. I really hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.